welcome back to Teen Time on CYC. I'm Terry, and today we're talking about friendship. And we have our lovely ladies here again. We have...
Hi, my name is Grace. I'm 13 and I go to St. Mark's, DC.
Hi, my name is Helen. I'm 15 and I go to St. Mark's.
Hi, my name is Juliana. I'm 13 and I go to St. Mark's.
Hi, I'm Nardine. I'm 14 and I go to Virgin Mary and St. Bartholomew's Church.
Awesome. So we're talking about friendship today. There's a lot of things about friendship, but first of all, what comes to mind when we talk about friendship?
The type of friends that you have and the relationship that you have with them. Mm-hmm. So you can have a good relationship with your friends, or there can be friends that you think are your friends, but they're not.
All right. Yeah, I like those points. So you can have like friends that are really genuine, and then friends that like you're not so sure. Anybody else?
It's like people that affect you in like a positive way. You don't want to have friends that are a negative impact on your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's really important who we choose to have as friends.
It's someone that like stands beside you through hard times and good times.
I think it's the people you learn to get close to or you get acquainted with. The person you can go to talk to if there's anything wrong. Even if they're not that close, they can hear you and listen and give their input.
Exactly. I love the points you guys are making, that we have friends and they're there with you like through thick and thin, and that they're there for you like when you need to talk. I think it's really important. And what do you think is the purpose of friendship? Like we're on this earth, we have our family, we have our friends. Why do you think God gave us like friendships and people as friends?
I think that God gave us friendships and our friends that we have because if we don't, then we'll feel kind of like lonely and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you have to have someone to talk to because you can't keep everything to yourself.
Very good. Yeah, I agree.
We learn off of them too, you know. We have friends who do all different types of things, or they know different things and skill sets that we don't know, and it's something that we get to learn from them, we get to share with them.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
And like God created us to like be social and to have like people to share everything with, so like we understand like how a relationship should be like, which would be how we have a relationship with Christ.
And like being accountable to.
Yeah, like when you have a friend, you have God made us to have a friend so we can have good relations to them and to like relate to them.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the points that you're making. It's so true that God gave us each other so that we can have relationships with them and so that we can get closer to God with our friends. It's very true. So when we're with our friends, it can be easy to kind of want to do things that they do or say things that they say. So do you guys ever find that? Like, have you ever found that sometimes the whole group of friends is doing one thing and then you really want to do what they do, or you really don't want to do what they do? Like,
yeah. So like my friends, so a while ago when my friends, before I left where I used to live, they made this whole like Instagram post and like letter and stuff, and they wanted me to get Instagram so I could see it, but like I knew that I wasn't allowed to. Like my parents said I'm not allowed, so I told them, oh, like I'm not allowed to do this, I can't, I'm sorry. And then they got really upset and like they were angry from me. And I mean, if they were real friends, then they wouldn't be upset. They would like respect what I think, and they could have just sent me a picture of it instead of trying to persuade me to do that stuff.
I think just like Juliana said, we have like friends who know we can't do something and they're pushing us anyway. Some of my friends, they'll go and do things that they know, and I've expressed to them before, it's not something I'm allowed to do because my parents said no. And it's hard for them to take it as all right, no means no, and they kind of push, and you know, your real friends shouldn't be doing that. Your friends should be the people who accept and they respect what you think and what you believe.
mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah, like all of my friends, like a few weeks ago, were having a sleepover. They're just like, oh, come over. So I was like, oh, sorry, I'm not allowed to have sleepovers. They're just like, what, how come? And they kept like asking questions. So I was like I don't really, like it's not that I'm really not allowed to, it's just like I don't really feel comfortable going to other people's house. So, like everything, it's really not like saying, oh, my parents said no, I can't like do this with my friends. It's like after a certain point, like you don't really feel comfortable to do specific things with others.
Yeah, like if you have certain standards, like it's really important that like your friends kind of respect like who you are
And if they understand, then they're like the right people you should be friends with.
Yeah, like a true friend, just like how Nardine was saying, they you can like trust in them and they don't like push you to do stuff.
Yeah, trust is a big thing. Like, I think that when we have good friends, it's really important, like, to have that trust relationship. And when our friends pressure us or they want us to do things we're not really into, it's harder to have that trust relationship. What about with, so you talked about one way to kind of handle a situation where your friends were kind of pushing you to do something. What are other ways that we can think of that, and you also talked about one way as well. What are other ways that we can think of to kind of set our standards and show our friends like, okay, this is where I draw the line kind of thing. These are where my boundaries are.
I think you have to you just have to be clear with your friends, like to let them know. And if they're your real friends, then they'll understand and they won't judge you for it. But then if you tell them and they're like, oh, okay, got it, and then they go and like gossip to other people about it, then that's not what a real friend is.
Yeah, you need to like know like who your friends are and like, for example, like say your friends like gossip to you about like other people, like who knows, like they might be doing the same thing about you. So you need to be able to trust like what they do and say. So like being able to like determine if they're good people to spend your time with.
Who you start getting close with too is important, because if you're getting close with someone that you know, like as Helen said, they gossip, and you know you never know if they might be doing it about you, and that's probably true. If it's easy for them to go and gossip about another friend, who's to say that they won't do it to you? So I feel like picking out who is like a person that shows the qualities of being a good friend is actually really important in the first part.
Yeah, it's really important to have that discernment to see like who you want to spend your time with, who you want to hang out with or not.
Yeah, also like a true friend is someone that doesn't gossip about you and is like nice to you.
Yeah, and encourages you. Yeah, definitely brings out the best in you, I think.
I feel like you should be like really picky who you like get close to. Like it's fine to have acquaintances, but it's not somebody that you share things with that like you enjoy like spending time with.
Yeah, and a true friend builds you up, not brings you down.
Exactly. So true. I heard someone say something one time, tell me who your friends are, and then I'll tell you who you are. So I think a person's friends really show who a person is, because the people you spend time with is definitely gonna determine like who you become after a while.
Because your friends really like influence how you behave because you start to act like them. So you want to make sure that they're like positive people.
So true. So we talked about like why God designed relationships like friendships. What are some characteristics of godly friends and ungodly friends? Trustworthy. That's a great one. Trustworthiness.
Honest. Like they won't lie to you or go behind your back.
Your friends are, if you tell them that there's something that's important to you, then they're the kind of person that would get it, and they wouldn't end up blowing you off for someone else, or they would value you and the time that you give them.
Very true.
Yeah, like a real friend is kind and sweet.
And like caring and understanding. Like if you have something to say, then they don't like ask like why, blah blah blah. Like they just say like okay, like that's what you have to say, then that's fine.
Okay, I love the points. And I have a question. Is it okay for a friend to be honest, even though it might not be something that you want to hear?
Depends, like if that's like an actual friend. Like if it's just like a random person like telling you like something about you that like, you need to hear, rather than like an actual friend telling you like as a friend, like not to judge you but to just like tell you so you know.
Just to kind of let you know.
Yeah.
So does everybody kind of agree that's okay for a
Depends on
friend
the
to do?
person.
All right, great points, everybody. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. All right, we're back to our episode on Teen Time. We're talking about friendship. So we talked a little bit about what kind of characteristics make godly friends, ungodly friends. Maybe we can elaborate a little bit more. What other characteristics? Like, for example, is it okay for my friend to tell me, like, oh, let's skip Sunday school today. Let's go out for coffee, or let's go out to a restaurant. Like, is that an okay thing to do?
No. I mean, you can respect what they're trying to say, but that doesn't mean you have to, like, follow what they're telling you to do. I mean, you should, like, trust your friends and follow their advice sometimes, but not all.
Sometimes I think there's a fine line, right, where it's kind of a gray area, like, oh, I want to be with my friend, but at the same time, I want to do what's right. So
Yeah, you don't have to do every single thing the person tells you, just like right when they say it. Like there's a time for you to either be in Sunday school and a time for you to hang out with them. So
And there's always, like, an argument, like, should I do the right thing that I know is right, or should I do this so I can, like, please my friends and make them happy? Like, you could be doing the wrong thing, but with good intentions.
very true. And I loved that you said please your friends, because sometimes we kind of fall into this peer pressure where we want to please our friends, we want to fit into the crowd and all this stuff. But who should we really be pleasing in the end?
God.
Exactly, yeah. We really want to make sure that, like, our focus is to please God and to do what's right and to do His will. And it's great if our friends are on board with that and they also want to do the same thing. I think that's, like, really great qualities to have in a friend. But if they're not, it's really important to make it clear to them, like, where you stand, kind of thing. All right, so another question I had was, what kind of friends do you think that God wants us to have in our lives?
I think God wants us to have friends that will support us through thick and thin. Like, you don't just do something for your friend, and then when you ask them to do something back for you, they're like, oh no, and then they just leave you. Like, you have to have friends that are like, they'll always stick with you.
Yeah, like, it would be a pretty crummy friend if they just kind of left you, like, when you were in a really bad situation.
and like Christian friends that you can like share like your faith like with, like you can like talk to like Christ about, like attend like Sunday school or go to liturgy with them, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so key, because having good Christian friends is really important. Would you agree?
They're kind of hard to
find
find.
in school, so I have a lot of Christian friends, and we talk a lot about faith, and like we go to like Bible studies together at our school and chapel.
Public schools are kind of hard to find though, so it's like best to just find friends from church. Because at school it's really hard to find people that like are trustworthy, like kind, they don't like lie and stuff like that.
Not only that, but you can talk about topics with them that you can't normally talk about with your friends who maybe aren't Christian or they don't believe in the faith. Like, you can talk about things that they'd find controversial, and then you can talk about it with your friend who would agree with you, or they'd be able to talk about it with you because they'd know what to say, or they understand where you're coming from.
Or, like, they're familiar with the truth, so they kind of share the same view.
Yeah, like my friends from school, I'm friends with them, but I'm not like super close with them. I'm more close with my friends from church or somewhere else because they're more like trustworthy. Not to say that my other friends aren't trustworthy, but like.
So I agree. I wanted to ask a question though. Do you think it's okay to, for example, say you have a friend at school and they're doing something that you're not particularly okay with, do you think it's still okay to be their friend? Or do you think you should completely cut off yourself from them?
I think it's still okay to be their friend because people make mistakes. I mean, it might not be a mistake, but that doesn't mean you have to judge them just for one thing that they did.
So you're saying it's even okay to like spend time with them even as they're doing the stuff that they're doing? That's not okay?
You can like tell the person like your thoughts about like what they do, and it's not like somebody that you specifically have to be extremely close to. Like you can like keep your boundaries with them.
I feel like it'd be better to break away from someone like that, because you're going to find that they're going to influence you more than you're going to influence them, because it's typically more that, you know, like it's easier to get like the bad things through our head than the good, which means it's a lot easier to be tempted into doing something you know you shouldn't be doing, rather than changing someone into this kind of person who does all the wrong things into a person who's willing to change and who's willing to try the way that you're doing things.
If that friend like did something bad, I would just tell them, hey, like well, I wouldn't say like that they're doing bad, but I'd say like, hey, I actually don't know how I'd say it. I just say like, hey, you're doing something wrong, maybe.
Just like let them know that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like hurt their feelings.
Now, what if they keep doing this certain thing and you've told them many times, like, hey, you know what, like, I'm really not okay with this. I really prefer that you didn't do it. And then they just kept doing it. Then what would you do?
I would just like cut off that friendship completely.
Yeah, I'd like stop.
Because that's going to like affect you personally.
I wouldn't completely break it off. Like, I mean, if you keep repeating it and you let them know, then you don't have to like all of a sudden just shut down on them. You can just break away from them, and then if they stop doing it, then you can like become more close with them again.
I feel like though if the friend, like you're telling the friend, like you shouldn't be doing this, it's not beneficial to you, and they refuse to listen, it's that they don't respect what you think and they're not trying to take what you said into consideration, and they'd rather just keep doing what they're doing. And I think that's something crucial. If your friend's not willing to listen to you when you only have like what's best for them in mind, then I think you shouldn't be with that friend.
Yeah, but you don't always listen to what your friends tell you to do. Like, even if it's good advice that you're trying to give to them, they might not think that it's good for them.
The advice that they give, if they're telling you to, like we're gonna have friends that always tell us to do something, if we know it's wrong, that's the reason why we're saying no. But we're trying to lead them back onto the right path and they don't want to listen to us. I think that's something different.
But after a while, I think you should really like determine, like, is this person like really going to affect my life? And like, because if you continue with that person, like you might start to think like, oh, maybe it's okay to do this, and that's just going to harm you. So, I mean, not saying you have to cut like them off, like one day you're best friends and then the next day like you don't talk to them anymore. Just like gradually like stay like back, I guess.
Kind of let them know like where you stand,
Yeah.
and then if necessary,
Like I'm
step
not
back.
okay with this, and if you don't want to change, then like that's fine, but I don't want to be a part of it. Almost.
Yeah, like when they're your friend, you still have to check like, oh, are these people, is this person bringing me up or is it bringing me down?
I think that's a really crucial question to ask.
Yeah, but what if they're like your best friend, like, and then they slip out of line, like, and they keep on doing that? That doesn't mean you should just like totally ditch them.
And I think we'll get back to that right after our break. Thank you. Welcome back to Teen Time. We're talking about friendship today, and we were talking about how we have to have boundaries with our friends. So we kind of had a few opinions going on. We said some people were saying you got to kind of set your boundaries, and if they're not listening, kind of slowly step back. Other people were saying you can still be friends with them, but not kind of partake and not judge in what they're doing. Did we have any final thoughts before kind of closing up that topic?
No, I mean, you can't really judge people. You can judge people by their actions, but if you know that they're a good person, but they might be doing a bad thing, and you don't really know why, then that doesn't mean that you should stop being their friends.
Like you were saying about like for an example, like a best friend that made a mistake kind of thing.
Yeah.
What did people think?
Well, I think it's like to the point of like, is like the person really like close enough to me that I can sit there and like fight for them, to like ask them like, why is this happening? Like, is it okay if like you do this like at least when I'm not near you? Like, just like let them know that that's something you're not okay with. Like, see what, like if you can make an agreement to like figure it out. Like, not saying you don't have to be friends with them anymore, but
I mean, like, as Juliana said, if it's like your best friend, I've had an experience like that, you know. There was someone I was really close with, and they were doing things that were not helping others. It was hurtful to me as well. And I didn't want to be in that position anymore. So I tried to talk to them about it, and it came to a point where they weren't willing to listen. And I had to make the decision, like, you have to let go of it because it's not helping you, and you're running for someone else who's not willing to put in the effort to come back.
Yeah, but like if you find out, like say for example, you find out that one of your best friends is like vaping or something, and then they try to encourage you to do it, then you're obviously not going to do it. Like if my friend did that to me, like I would say no. I'm not going to like judge them for that, but I'm still not going to follow what they're trying to tell me to do.
Now, would you try to, okay, so I hear what you're saying, but would you try to encourage them to maybe stop or pick up a more helpful habit or something?
Yeah, but if they don't listen to me, then that's their own choice.
Yeah, I agree with Juliana, but if it's like they ask you like more than like once, like do it with me, then like I don't think it's a smart person to be around a lot. Cause like maybe one time you'll say, oh, okay, like let's try it, but
Yeah, and like don't be afraid to stand up to your best friend. Like if they're doing something wrong, just don't be afraid to stand up.
Yeah, because I think you're being the true friend by kind of telling them what's right and trying to encourage them to do what's right. So I think the conclusion of all of that is kind of shine your light, say what's right, stand up for what is right, but also try to keep the good friends as well. And we don't want to judge anyone, but we also want to set the standard and set where we stand and how we stand as Christians. I wanted to share a few verses on God's perspective. Proverbs 18:24 says, "A man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." So I think it's a great verse because it talks about like there are some friends who are just really godly and really true, and they help us because they help us, they bring us up, they encourage us, and they're even closer than our own family. So I pray that God can give each and every one of us friends like that. The last verse is Proverbs 12:26. "The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray." So again, it's just emphasizing that we really have to choose our friends very well, because I think we are who our friends are. Like we really get influenced by the people around us. So it's really important that we stay close to those who are God-fearing and those who do the right things. Thanks so much, guys, and thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Teen Time.